like it was heading in a different direction. But I think they got a chance to respond well, and they did.
Yeah.
And so I'm very pleased with that and support it.
I too, I thought the answers were very helpful. I think it's important, or I would like to try to move together with the other towns too. Do you know where that stand, where Arundequoit and Brighton stand?
Well, I've spoken to the other towns and to the village, and they haven't made final decisions yet, but they are leaning in the same direction.
Yes.
And I think that also takes in favor.
Are they having a discussion like we're having a discussion?
They will
they
be.
gonna move
Supervisor
forward in a
Seeley and
formal
Ron
way?
Coy told me that his board would be discussing this, I think, maybe within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're not totally sure what the schedule is for Brighton, but I don't think it should take. I imagine they will have had the same conversation by the end of this month at the
Okay.
latest.
Yes, I've spoken with Supervisor Seeley as well, and they were ready to move forward.
Yeah.
So is there a benefit then for us to sort of
I want to make folks aware that they are suggesting an opt-in community solar campaign, with which I agree as part of this initial rollout. What Jewel and Rocktricity don't have is 400 aggregations behind them, as Good did. So Good was substantially the more experienced of the two competitors. I would request that we consider as a town board having Rocktricity and/or members of Jewel in to brief us as they start each of the 8 phases they lay out on page 1 of their response. I'd like to see what they're doing and be able to coach them. This is going to be their largest aggregation. I'm also concerned that there are 4 people who are
Has experience with CCA in New York. So
That's true. Yes.
that they may not have as many CCAs behind them, but they have more in New York.
I think most of us wanted to go with a local outfit. I really appreciate everything that Sue Hughes-Smith and Ben Verrett and the others have done to promote CCA here in the community. I know they'd like to turn this into a business model, and I think they're on the verge of doing so. But I just want to make sure that we support them as they move forward.
Yes.
Because we're finding from the community survey, a lot of folks simply don't understand CCA.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
that's why there has to be a rollout. And Mr. Llewellyn has the floor.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. I'm Jeff Llewellyn. I live at Wright Circle, south of the village. I think I'm a little bit.
Well, Jerry Minor, yes.
I did sign up. I thought I was speechless, but I do have one little comment.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
come on.
please.
Hi, I'm Jerry Minard, and I lived for 42 years at 27 Kimberly Road, just having moved. But I feel invested in Pittsford. My 42 years here. I also work in Pittsford. I work in the schools. So I'm a sub, and my daughter and grandkids live in Pittsford, so I'm vested in here. And anybody that's come to previous meetings and has heard me speak, it's no surprise to them that I'm very happy that Bill and the board are leaning towards the Jewel, more than leaning towards Jewel. I think they've fallen into
Okay. Good. Well, anyone else? Okay. Well, look, I think what I would ask the board for is authorization then to go back to the other towns and tell them that it's our intention to go forward with Jewel Assets and Rocktricity.
Yes.
And then as a next step, I mean, assuming that the other towns follow suit, and we don't have more to talk about that, I think they're all on board. The town attorneys are going to get together and talk about just sorting out matters regarding a contract and how we're going to proceed with the contract. And then I would envision the next vote coming before the town board on this subject would be a contract to enter into with Jewel and Rocktricity.
And that would be a local contract that we
Attractive features of Jewel from the word go has been there stating that they can get a green energy package for us at a cost lower than the utility rate after factoring in all the relevant factors. So I think we have a clear path ahead, and I thank the board. And we've just heard what the next steps will be.
Great.
Anything else to bring up under other business? Stephanie, we'll have a meeting. I expected to hear back from Elderberry Express today about the meeting we want to have with them about the disabled transport. I should hear from them by tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Sorry about that. So,
No, that's all right. I'm out of town next week.
oh, okay. Good. Anything else, board? Staff, any other business to bring up? we have the general public comment session. Is there anyone who has signed up to speak? Just generally.
Thank you, Susie.
All right, well, seeing none, we'll declare this meeting of the Pittsford Town Board adjourned.
There is,
And billing us?
Just
as opposed to RG&E doing that? No.
no, the bills do not come from the town.
Okay, so what exactly is CCA?
What it does is that currently, unless you make a choice otherwise, the default supplier is RG&E.
Okay,
Plus, they distribute the energy because they own the transformers and the power lines.
okay,
With a CCA, a town can designate a different supplier for the default,
okay.
other than RG&E. RG&E still distributes the energy. With CCA, though, any resident or business who does not want to participate in that, they want to stick with RG&E, or they want to stick with their own ESCO contract, they can opt out and stay with RG&E or their own ESCO. So what it does is it lets us buy power collectively with a whole lot more customers so that we get a more reasonable rate.
Okay. And you will give us, the residents, that information?
Yes,
later on?
yes. Everyone will be notified.
She wanting to also install the program or whatever in her home. So my husband wanted to put solar panels in our new home, but the incentive, we talked to the assessor and like our taxes would go up. So how is
No,
that
they
an
do not.
incentive?
They do not. State law, and I believe it's in our town code as well,
Okay.
that if there's an additional value, because you install solar panels, it does not impact, that is not assessed.
Okay, because
To increase your
that's been
assessment.
our fear of like putting
No.
up, so.
I put on solar panels in 2 houses in Pittsford, and we get that form and we sign it that acknowledges that
Okay.
it is exempt from any increase.
The lady was talking about that.
She would like that to be included in our plan and code. A comprehensive plan sets the direction that the town's going to move over about the next 10 years.
Okay.
So it sort of sets our priorities, and then we change our town code to, if it needs it, to match that plan. So she was asking us to change our town code to allow wind in addition to solar.
But does it impact me to put it on now? Like
Your solar? No. Solar, you're fine on.
Okay.
We just don't allow home wind units yet.
Okay. Oh, so,
So she's asking us to allow wind units.
Okay. That's it.
Complement having solar panels, that you'll be using less energy in general, but to the extent that you are using energy, it'll be ultimately coming from a green source. So that's our plan.
This is a decision we as a town made with the municipalities, the town of Aroniquoit and Brighton, and the village of Pittsford. Jewel has negotiated reductions in electricity supply rates for other communities that are brown-oriented. They just did that for the town of Geneva. They did a renewable rate and also a brown rate. Good has actually negotiated contracts with ESCOs in New York State for brown reductions, but we're going 100% renewable.
Brown.
Brown means fossil fuel.
Okay.
Took your hand and promised you paradise. Naive, you fell right into my plans. Seems I knew just what to tell you. I knew just what to do. You believed the things I said to you. Too bad they were not true. When you asked about forever, I said take life day by day. Then you asked me if I love you. These words you heard me say. I'll get back to you. In the meantime, I'll get back to you. When it feels right, I'll get back to you. So many years have come and gone since we said our last goodbyes. I called you on the telephone. Just need a little time. I guess I had it coming when you gave me your reply. I'll get back to you. In the meantime, I'll get back to you. When it feels right, I'll get back to you. Girl, you said you'd get back to me. So here I am, waiting by the telephone. It seems to me you don't think it's possible I've changed. Do you? When it feels right, I'll get back to you. In the meantime, I'll get back to you. When it feels right, I'll get back to you. In the meantime, I'll get back to you. When it feels right, I'll get back to you.
in the cafeteria of the high school because today we have a very special program. We have a couple of chefs here that are going to be cooking something very exciting. I don't know if they know what they're cooking, but I have a surprise package for them. This is Mr. Capalone. You can't look at it until we're ready, okay?
Thank you.
And this is Mr. John C.
Thank you.
And when I say ready, you can unwrap and do your thing, okay?
All right.
Ready.
All right, what do we got here?
What's he got?
I got a rack of lamb. What do you got?
Flank steak, baby.
Flank steak.
Nice.
Have fun.
Nice. Yeah, good luck to you, too.
Oh, boy. All right,
Good luck.
Chris.
Good luck.
Bring it on, Chris. Hopefully there'll be some laughs involved here too. So we're gonna get going here. And what do you think, Alex? See anything you like?
I like potatoes.
You like the potatoes?
Yeah.
All right. What do you want to make out of them?
Probably some mashed potatoes.
A couple mashed. Maybe we'll pipe them.
Yep.
Probably need two. All right. I mean, we're only gonna be plating one. We're gonna do one plate. Follow me?
You're going to tell us a little bit about this piece of meat?
Well, yeah, rack of lamb. You really, there's only a couple ways you want to cook this. You either want to grill it or roast it. You know, it's a tender cut. It should be like a dry sort of cooking technique. I mean, you wouldn't braise this or saute it. So, I mean, that certainly minimizes or gives me an idea of what to do. The first thing, I got to come up with a little bit of an idea and kind of get these ingredients going through my head and figure out what I want to do. So I'm going to take a couple minutes and do that. Well, Mr. Fee, maybe he might be a little quicker than I am with coming up with what he's going to do. So I'm going to let him take over.
Not sure if I'm going to be much quicker, but I can tell you this. Mr. Capalone's piece of meat is much more tender than the piece of meat I have in my hand. So what Chris and I need to do is we need to infuse some flavor. That up, bring it up to about 155 degrees to make sure it's safe, and we'll use that with maybe a little bit of beef stock as our sauce over the top. As far as our side, my trusty partner is just retrieving what our starch is going to be, and that's starting with Uncle Ben's rice, that we're going to make a rice pilaf. And that's where I think we're going. Now, we may have to make adjustments, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. So we're going to alternate. We're going to give you...
Yeah, we'll go back and forth, kind of looking at some of these ingredients. I'm going to take some dried fruit. This is dried apricots, bananas, looks like some pineapple, cranberries, which is going to be sweet. So I'm going to cut that sweetness with some shallots, which are basically onions, and some garlic. So I'm going to saute fruit with garlic and shallots. And maybe I'll let you taste this a little bit. This is dried fruit. So lamb is, I'm going to sear the rack. And searing, it's just a technique to seal in the juices. It's really tender. So I'm going to get a pan real hot. These are Teflon pans. Certainly prefer like a cast iron, but you know we make adjustments. You know, I've been trying to tell Mr. Fee to get this equipment upgraded here. You know, but he's always been a little slow, a little bit behind. So I'm going to sear this lamb. So I'm getting this pan real hot first, and there's no oil in it. And I'm going to sear that, basically, and it's going to make a coating around the lamb, and then I'm going to have to cool it. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff this. I'm going to stuff this. Quick. All right, so it'll take a few minutes to get this ready. Okay. Alex, what are you banging out those potatoes?
We'll give John I'll give John a few minutes.
Yeah, you can give John a few minutes. I'm going to need a little bit of time here.
All right, well, I'm going to start prepping up my steak. First move I'm going to do is actually I'm going to trim it down because there's quite a bit of connective tissue on a flank steak, so I'm going to try and remove as much of it as I can, so we're down to just the meat. Very carefully, as carefully as possible, I'm going to trim it back, trying to not take too much of the flesh. While Mr. Capalone speedily works along, because obviously, as you all heard, I'm slow to get things done. So, but we'll see if we can change that today. Be a little bit quicker.
Boys, you guys know what tongs are? Want to bring me a small pair?
Oh, do you want to introduce your assistant? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Just so that everybody knows, we have two assistants today. On my right is Chris Ross. On Mr. Capalone's left is Alex Ross.
Are they related?
Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Oh, Mr. C.
My arm's almost tired.
That's not good.
So I got this pan real hot right now. I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but when I'm done searing it, I'll show you exactly what I have. And that's going to help me keep all the juices and the tenderness and the flavor in the meat. Searing, it's a technique, you know, it's very high heat, as the definition is to sear. So I got this fruit pivot cut pretty good. Would have wanted a little bit smaller.
Now, why wouldn't you use a regular chopper for that?
Just old school. You can certainly put this in a food processor, maybe pulse it. I could have saved myself some time, but then it's more to clean.
Okay.
You know,
Well, don't you have a cleaner?
I'm an anti-cleaner, Mel. I sometimes do more work to save myself a little bit of time.
Oh, how nice this looks. Nice.
Thank you.
Squares.
Yep. What I've done so far with the flank steak is trimmed it down a little bit, and then I actually did a cross pattern. Is making sure that you're taking care of everything that you're doing. And what I mean by that is what Chris worked on over here a minute ago. What was he doing? He was chopping up some bacon. You're absolutely right. What is bacon? Fat. It is fat. What else? Do you have to cook it? So it started as what? Raw. It was raw. So I have raw meat on this cutting board right now. Can I do anything else on it? No. So what I'm going to do right now is switch out the cutting board so that we're keeping ourselves safe.
See that, Tom?
And that's the benefit of working in a kitchen like this.
Don't don't try to crowd me out of here.
Oh, I won't try to crowd you out. I'm just going to switch my partner's pan into there.
I got the fire department standing by.
That's a good idea. Mr. Capalone's got that pan good and hot. Got this place nice and smoky right now.
Go
Chase
put
it with
this,
the
but
vegetable.
it's all right. I'm cooking everything, so it's not that big of a deal. I'll turn on this hood.
Now you're going to hear some extra noise, unfortunately, because we got to turn on the hood because Mr. C has created enough smoke on us.
Where's your
that
hood, John?
Red button, pull it out. Come this side. It's right behind the oven.
Oh, there it is. Only take a second.
Fire alarm, or the smoke alarm is going to go off pretty soon. A couple of different items I'm going to season our flank with. The first item is going to be a Cajun rub, Durkee's Cajun rub, because I'm a fan of a little bit of spark. Give it a good shake, though, before you put it on. Now, I don't want to do a heavy coating. I want a nice light, so give it some flavor, but not overpower.
Oh, sure.
I created my own hot sauce, so why wouldn't I do my own spice?
Mr. Fee does have his own name brand hot sauce called Fee Burgers.
Thank you, Mr. C.
He does try to market that through local grocery stores. You're in where? Skips in Fairport?
Skips in Fairport, Skips out at Ridge Road. I'll be in Powers Farm Market in a couple of weeks.
Village Fair, any luck?
Village Fair will be in a month because the owner of Village Fair is currently out of town.
He is?
He is. Florida.
So Mel, we've done a lot of shows, right?
Yeah.
We've done 4 or 5.
We've done a lot of shows.
Mel's been a volunteer here in the Culinary Arts Lab for what, 10 years now, almost, give or take, right?
1992.
90? No. 2000.
Jim, how long have we had the show, Jim? 93? 15 years. Oh, 15 years.
So I'm sauteing up there's dried fruit. Give you a look at it. This is chopped dried fruit, bananas, apricots, looks like cranberries. There's shallots in there and fresh garlic. And I got to saute this. I'm going to try, not try, I'm extracting the flavors. It takes a few minutes. But in the meantime,
means is he cooked them after chopping them up to get the fat to come out of them. He just added 2 cups of rice to the pot, allowing that rice to bloom, to kind of crack open and get ready to receive the liquid that's going to be added to it. Today's liquid is we're utilizing beef stock because guess what we're serving? Beef. And we want to kind of compare or make those flavors work together.
Did you burn it?
I think it is.
Uh-oh, that wasn't a good sound.
Oh, he did. He
Good.
caught it. He
Still
got there
safe?
just in time. We've all burned something. We've all burned something
No.
every once in a while. I do.
Mr. CD's in a couple minutes.
You guys got any questions about anything? Got a lot of students in our audience right now. What we got? 25, 30 kids. I'm sorry, hon? How did I learn how to cook? Growing up.
In my time at that restaurant, I had actually 2.5 years working for Mr. Caffalone's dad, and it was a blast. The restaurant was great. Great food, great people, a lot of fun. But that's where his career started. I believe he also went to Johnson & Wales University and graduated out of there, I would guess, in 86 or 87. Pretty cool.
When I came here, I started this program in 2000. Our first year we were in the high school cafeteria, actually. Cafeteria kitchen. This was an old science lab, so they had these gas lines right there. That's a big gas line, that pipe. And the water lines were already here, so we thought this would be a good lab to start it in. And, so one thing led to another, and here we are. Now I have this fruit, and it's, you can't smell it, but I can, as opposed to it being real sweet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let that fruit kind of absorb that red wine, and the red wine absorb into the fruit to soften it up a little bit. And that's going to help me when I make this stuffing. Mr. Feedy, you got a food processor here?
Yes, sir. I believe it's at the end of my table on the lower shelf right here.
Okay. So you have to get it.
Yeah, isn't that terrible? I've set up everything else for you. What do you want me to do?
So one of the things I have to do, see, I'm making a stuffing. So anytime you make a stuffing, you have to have what's called a binding ingredient. So what's going to bind my stuffing? I'm going to use these walnuts. I'm just going to puree them up real, real thick. It's going to form a paste, and that paste.
The pepper, when I saute it, to have that bright yellow color. I don't want the inside white. I want that bright yellow to really pop. As well as, I'm going to do the same thing with the red. Now, of course, while I'm doing this, I brought it to the edge of my cutting board, keeping my fingers out of the way, making lots of noise with the hooks up top.
Yeah, I noticed that too. So while he's doing that, what I've done with this, I've taken walnuts and I've like pureed them. And then like when I puree that, what I can do is go like, see how that sticks together? You know, I go from something that looks really mealy like sand. Mr. Fee, you got some, looks like you might have some future culinary students in here.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Both next to us and out in the audience.
I'm going to cook this down like, and I'll show you this. This is the red wine with the fruit. And I'm going to cook that down so you don't see any wine in it whatsoever. So it still has a way to go. The fruit's absorbing the wine. It'll help soften it up. And certainly help me with my sauce. In the meantime, I better figure out a way to stuff this lamb.
guys have noticed, one of my pet peeves is keeping things neat and tidy and clean, organized. Definitely a pet peeve of mine, but it's a good thing to be.
How did that come from my house?
So I have to make a hole in this lamb, so because I'm gonna stuff it. So I'm gonna take this steel, which is a knife steel we use to kind of fine tune a knife, and I'm basically gonna stick it through it. I don't want the hole too big though, so I guess I could use a paring knife. But I'm gonna go ahead and use this, and I'm just gonna put my hand on top of it and stick this through. All right, so basically, I've put a hole in the lamb. Now when I make my stuffing, I'm going to stuff it like that. So I'm not like cutting it open. And that should be plenty big enough, probably actually bigger than I want it. We'll keep it there for a few minutes. Get me a few plastic spoons, probably a half dozen or so. So you notice with this fruit stuffing, it's all red now, so all the wine has been absorbed into that fruit. There's no more liquid whatsoever. So that's the base for my stuffing. Now I gotta bind this a little bit more. So well, how do I want to do this, Alex? Any ideas? We're gonna try this. We're gonna try the food processor.
A little bit of clarified.
So I'm gonna take the walnuts out for now.
It's gonna get pretty warm in here, Mr. C.
Yeah, I understand.
Just fired up the grill, so we'll turn the hood back on in a couple
and I'm
minutes.
gonna put a little bit of this
Once we get
fruit.
the smoke.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us, huh, Mel?
Just trying to stay neat and tidy and clean.
That's what I'm talking about, Alex. That's how we operate.
Where you got going, Mr. C?
I'm working on the stuffing.
Working awfully hard.
No, actually I'm not.
Good.
Glad it seems like I am.
Good.
So this stuffing now, like this dried fruit, there's no breadcrumbs in this. You know, it's kind of it's a stuffing is what it is.
Let me go grab it. Be right back.
What about
Please
breadcrumbs?
excuse me. Breadcrumbs, yes. They're up on the shelf.
Right. Can you let's see if there's some breadcrumbs back there. Oh boy, oh boy.
Mr. C, take a peek on that piece of glass table for a small styrofoam container that says toast mustard.
Small styrofoam container for what, bud?
Little styrofoam squat container. Because it's not where I left it earlier.
Sorry. Yes, I don't need a lot. Oh, for the mustard?
For the mustard, yeah.
Somebody's trying to sabotage me. So I got my lamb, you know, right here, and I'm going to take out the steel. And the difficult thing here is that this fruit stuffing, it's kind of hot. And I'm basically just going to literally push it in there.
John's getting cold. John's getting cold.
How fine do you need it, Mr. C?
It doesn't have to be real fine, just something straight, I guess.
All I've got is a small start tip for you.
That's fine.
Hello, sir.
Where's Alex? Alex, what are you looking for? For who, me or you?
He's creating your hot mustard for you.
No, don't bother. Don't bother, Alex.
Want
Come
to
here.
go straight yellow?
No. Fill this up. Grill it too, but Mr. Fee has decided to go ahead and hog the grill. So.
Oh, wait a minute. There's plenty of room. You want to go to the grill? You're more than welcome to, Mr. C.
No, I got
Come
different.
on over.
I got different styles. Right, Alex?
He's got a lot of
A lot of excuses. Is that what you said?
Hey, how's that work? Good? I don't know.
It is.
Sometimes it sounds like a good
I
idea.
never failed. I always get ideas from Mel.
I'm a little older than you are. I've been at it a little
I'm
longer.
gonna add this a little bit longer than I have.
Gotta try and errors. So what are we here for?
We are kind of, not, I'm not going to say it is standing.
So I'm just taking some the breadcrumbs. We'll go ahead and we'll coat up real nice on that. It just helps create like a coating over the lamb. So I got a stuffed rack of lamb, breadcrumb coated, dry fruit stuffing. I gotta finish cooking it though. Remember, I just seared it. That's not gonna cook anything. It just kind of seals it. And my area is getting messier and messier about a second.
Well, we have a cleanup crew.
Oh, we do good. And I'm gonna
Wait a
roast
minute,
this.
wait a minute, cleanup crew coming, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's it.
We've done the staff on it.
We'll see what
while
that
you're
product.
moving there,
Yeah.
I'm going to start creating some smoke. So I hope everybody doesn't mind, but I'm going to be making a little extra noise because I'm going to be creating some smoke in a second. So.
All right, come here, boys. Give me a couple of you young guys over here. Come here. Here, grab this. Just bring this over to the sink. Bring this. Come here, boys. Bring this over somewhere. Put this somewhere.
One quick thing.
And
does everybody remember what color my flank steak was a little while ago before we started? It was nice and red. Some white on there, nice and red. Now, right now we've had it marinating about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, and look at the color it's already picked up. That color says flavor. Now we're going to give it a little more flavor by grilling it up and getting it ready to rock.
come here, boys. I have more stuff for you. I'm kind of a little messy. I'm adding, like I said, some broth to the sauce. Probably about how we doing, Alex?
Right now, Mel, what I'm doing is the leftover marinade that I had in and around my steak, putting it into a pan. I'm going to add a little more beef stock to it and then reduce it down so I can actually create a sauce out of it. And at the same time, I'm also working on the bed of the red onion, yellow pepper, and red pepper that will be underneath the steak when I serve it. I hope so. At the same time, Chris is keeping an eye on.
It's like that. Put it in the oven in hopes that I can kind of brown the outside of it real quick. The oven's pretty hot. I was hoping to have some paprika or something. Is there any paprika, guys? Is there any paprika back there? All right, what? If that doesn't work, we'll just pipe it on there. Couple mini ones out? Sure.
I found it.
Good job, T.
Nice start there. I'll put that in there, slam that door. I've taken the sausage, was
Be able to do. 'Cause that's one of the things that I actually teach
what's the
all
name
these
of that?
guys.
Yeah, what's the name of
And
that?
it's, you take a spoon, and I can't remember the term, that's why I
can't remember the term
you.
either.
But the idea is, when you put it down into your sauce, it coats the back of the spoon first, and you should be able to literally draw a line across that spoon that stays there. That's the proper thickness of what your sauce should be. Okay? Kind of cool, nice little way to think about it.
Get ready to plate, Alex. How's this going?
What do you think, Mr. C? You want to start plating?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, we're going to start plating. First thing for me, though, is cutting the meat.
How about you go first?
Let's see how we actually did here. See how lucky I was. I should put on the plate. The whole thing. I love that idea. Half? Well, I believe, and in all honesty, I did not put it on a scale. I think it's someplace around 1.5 pounds, which that's a pretty hefty steak if you're eating 1.5 pounds steak. But let's get dancing with all this. The sauce we created is sitting right here in the pan, okay? It's a little bit thinner than a normal sauce, and I was talking about coating the back of the spoon, but we want it to be that way. So we're gonna start rocking the plating. First thing down is gonna be our bed of the yellow and red peppers with the red onion as not on this show, not today. Hey, Mr. C, stop over for a quick second.
One on the far left back.
Help yourself, Mr. C.
Oh, thanks.
We still got some of those green onions.
Are these cats gonna try some of this? Oh, sweet.
Picture perfect.
Let's see.
Let's see. Now, what do you call that? Is there a name for that? I mean, I guess not, because we just kind of did a grab bag.
Yeah, kind of shooting in the dark. I don't have a name for that bad boy.
All right, ready, Alex? We're about ready to plate our lamb dish now.
Are we taking potatoes out?
In due time.
The aesthetics of it. Okay, and then there's a little bit of fruit. Well, this could be enough for probably 2 people. It'd be a great appetizer if you had you're doing like a party at your house. You want to give everybody one. Yeah, you do have to eat this with fork and knife. It's not like finger food. You know, at a restaurant, when we get done plating, it'll probably be close to a $30 dish. You know, I have a little bit of, if you can see the stuffing, a little bit of stuffing in the center of it, wrapped around with the lamb, and it's dried fruit. Lamb, you know, goes really well with like jellies and apples and peaches and real harvest type of foods. So hence our use of dried fruit. And then what we did, Alex made some nice mashed potatoes. We piped them, we put them in the oven, and just try to get a I like the bones out. Some people might say put them in so when a customer to cut it, they cut from the outside of the plate in. Or for presentation's sake, I like this a little bit better like this. And we got an extra one. I like to have it even. So what we have here is our lamb with our potato, and then we got to finish with the sauce. And again, I said I really reduced this sauce quite a bit, which it needed to be. And we don't want to over-sauce. We have a habit here in the U.S. of over-saucing everything. Everything is just caked in sauce, and you really can't taste what it is you're eating. So we just laid a little bit of.
Got a teaspoon.
Yeah. I don't mind a little bit of extra, but notice just coating it accents the meat. It doesn't hide the flavor of the meat.
Oh, wish we had smell-o-vision. It smells so good.
Yeah, no, I can smell that sauce. It's really nice. All right, so we have a stuffed rack of lamb here with you know, a classical red wine reduction sauce, dried fruit stuffing with piped mashed potatoes. If I was in a restaurant, I'd probably give you 4, maybe 5 of these chops. A little bit less potato, maybe some sauteed carrots or something of that nature. But certainly as classical of a dish as we can come up with in this short of time. So nice job, Alex. All right. Well, big joke was who's going to win, and you know, what the big jokes and everybody else, nobody wins. This was just something fun. We wanted to, you know, promote culinary arts. Just myself and Mr. Fee had some fun, and you know, like I said, promote the program, and you know, this will be on Channel 12. There are winners. Yeah, the kids are the winners. Or anybody eating this are the winners. So, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very
We
much.
always get a kiss, right?
Doing the children, so I know you hate them. Thank you so much, and I
Thank
thank all
you.
of you for watching What's Cooking.
Como si fuera esta noche la última vez. Bésame, bésame mucho, que tengo miedo perderte, perderte después.
The following is an audio recording of the East Rochester Senior Golden Notes Choir Group.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pittsburgh on this gorgeous, gorgeous night. We're so glad to have so many Pittsburgh residents as well as guests out here. I'm Stephanie Townsend. I'm one of your representatives on the town board, and it is my pleasure to welcome you tonight and to be able to introduce the amazing band that we're going to get to hear. But a couple of little housekeeping items for people who haven't been here before. Our series partner this year is Regain Physical Therapy, and for those of you who need a chair, they are around, and help yourself to one of the chairs. We also have the sponsorship this year from Harris Beach Attorneys at Law, from Messner Flooring, one of our I do want to let you know that next week's concert is Mr. Mustard, which is a Beatles tribute band, so that'll be a lot of fun, so be sure to come out again. But tonight, we have some great Dixieland jazz here from the Smugtown Stompers. So without further ado, let's welcome them and have a great evening here in Pittsburgh.
I like lazy weather, I like lazy days, can't be blamed for having lazy ways. Some old lazy river sleeps beside my door with me. The lazy river with a robin song awaits a bright new morning, we can loaf along. Blue skies up above, everyone's in love, up the lazy river. Just wonder why he never stops to ring my front doorbell. There's not a single word from the dear old love of mine. No, not a word since I last said farewell. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter and make believe it came from you. I'm gonna write words oh so sweet, they're gonna knock me off my feet. A lot of kisses on the back. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter and make believe it came from you. I'm gonna write words oh so sweet, they're gonna knock me off my feet. My little Cherokee maiden, I love her so. And though we're far apart, I know I'll never betray my love for her, for anybody else's heart. Someday I'll make a trip back to the Cherokee Strip, and I'll carry her away with me, and straight as an aeroplane we'll ride to paradise, my sweet little chickadee, my little Cherokee maiden and me. My little Cherokee maiden, I love her so. And though we're far apart, I know I'll never betray my love for her, for anybody else's heart. Someday I'll take a trip back to the Cherokee Strip, and I'll carry her away with me. I'm straight as an aeroplane, I'll ride to Paris. For Dan McGraw, he came a-sneaking to his wifey's door. She had been waiting off the captain and crew, so there was only one thing left to do. I had to drink the whole Green River dry to get back home to you. Danny's brow raised a row. She said, I'm going home to mother's now. Danny said, that's a fine idea. Better bring your mother here. At the door, there she saw her mind, several others more. Dad came in and explained then, telling get back home to you. a shanty in old shanty town. That roof is so slanty, it touches the ground. My tumble-down shack by that old railroad track, like a millionaire's mansion, keeps calling me back. I'd give up a palace if I were a king. It's more than a palace, it's my everything. There's a queen waiting there with a silvery crown in my shanty in old shanty town. Ah-ha. It's only a shanty in old shanty town. That roof is so slanty, it touched. Oh, sweetheart Lona, my darling Lona, why have you gone away? You said you loved me, why did you love me? Why did you act this way? If I had ever been untrue to you, what you have done would be the thing to do. But my heart aches, dear, and it will break, dear, if you don't come.
Second. Second by trustee Alfieri. Discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Section 5, department reports will be covered with one resolution. May I have a resolution to approve building department, fire department, library, police department, local history, for July 2019.
So moved.
Deputy Mayor Florak.
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Connors. Discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Under new business, first item is to approve the claims for the month. Motion to do that. Opposed? That's carried. Number 3 becomes a little bit complicated, but we need a motion to approve the removal of 2 traffic signals located on Main and West Avenue and Main and West Commercial Street. We are not required to have a public hearing in order to do this. It's a traffic thing that's all within the village authority. But we are here approving that removal, but we will establish when that will be done because we want to communicate with the public that it's coming. That, say, October 1st, there will no longer be traffic signals there. That's not part of this resolution because we're going to have Chief Clancy help us determine when would be the best time, probably before the snow flies, and how we could best communicate. So could I start with a motion?
They're getting older. I said, let's not put that in the budget, let's save the money, and when and if they fail, they will fail at some point in time, let's ask the PD, the DPW, the fire department, our emergency personnel, if these are necessary, and if they feel they're necessary, then we will continue to stay with them, and if not, then when they fail, we will then look at when it comes to the point in time where, okay, the controller's not working anymore, it costs $8,000 to get a new one, if everyone agrees, well, let's not replace it, let's just change it to a stop sign. I was never in favor of just taking them down just to take them down. It was more of a budget concern after whatever.
One of our garbage trucks to fall apart completely before we replace it. But Chief, your thoughts? Good move?
Shell shock, because I don't remember, I must have missed the meeting, because I don't ever remember talking about getting lights going.
Okay, then we have a lot of work to do.
Controllers on those going, and they were getting close in time, so we did talk about
And believe me, there's a lot of people that want those 2 lights gone.
Oh, yeah.
I get it. Some wonder why they were ever put there. We'll do whatever you guys want. I'm sure we have to figure out, some of the corners are so far back.
That was going to be the first one to take down.
And the other thing too was, and I remember after our discussion before, and I talked with Bill Maher, the superintendent DPW, and I talked with Clancy, and once again, the difference is on some of these intersections, like he says, they are very wide intersections. And when you see you're not going to see the stop sign tucked over there in the corner because we don't have grassy areas, so it's road, then sidewalk. I mean, this thing could be, 20 feet, 25 feet off the center of the road would be the stop sign.
If you remember part of the original discussion, focused mainly on removal of the one on the Avenue and Main Street. So that's basically how the discussion went, and we really talked more about removing that one, if that helps anybody.
Okay. Technically, rather than table this, I'm going to use my authority as chair to withdraw the item. Because if we table it, then we're continuing to consider this as it's printed. We need to look at the whole thing from scratch.
It's the best way to proceed.
It's off the agenda. Thank you. Item number 4 is a little complicated, but not as complicated as what we just did. This motion combines an appointment of current alternate Charles Ramsey to fill Lafayette Eaton's planning board position because, as you see from
the term left in Mr. Eaton's
They're the same.
position? Oh, they're the same.
They're
Thank
the
you.
same, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you. A motion to do that?
Yes, so moved.
By trustee Alfieri, seconded by trustee Swagler, because I gave
Second.
your last motion away.
Okay.
Any other
That's all right.
discussion or
Give it away.
question? This is for balance of term we're talking about.
Just balance
And then the new appointments will be
Yes, that's all I wanted to make sure.
in line with this if they choose to continue. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Number 5 is a motion to appoint Gavin Bathgate of 19 Kimberly Road, Pittsford, to the East Rochester Fire Department. I think we have 2 new members.
2 good guys, too.
Yep.
Well, aren't they all firemen? You're supposed to say
Yes,
yes.
they are.
Okay, anything under old business?
Just going back for a minute.
Okay.
I don't know whether it be under old, new, whatever. But over at the pool, you can't park on your front yard, can you, Chief? No.
Only if your driveway is being redone.
Right. Over at the pool, they park, people come to take their kids swimming, or I don't know who does it, who they are, but they park all over the grass every single day. Can we tell them?
I can address this for you
Okay.
because I work. I'm working at the pool. With the staff at BOCES and that's why you will see some of the parents pulling their
But
cars.
there's empty parking spots.
Well, maybe.
There's parking in the roadway, and I just said something to Superintendent Bill Maher to give me a couple of those no parking signs that we had set up along Roosevelt for the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
And they are now gone. That I'm going to put a couple up there because there is room in the road.
There is.
They're not at full
There is.
staff for summer, but
Right,
it's
right.
just become now that I just feel people are lazy and they want to.
And it's easy for them to park there because the curb is this large on
And
Madison.
it's just as easy to back out and hit somebody, and, so I agree 100%, so I'll make sure that we have a couple up
It's
tomorrow.
a public safety issue, and
Chicken barbecue right on through to the fireworks. As you know, our annual Field Days is our largest and most important fundraiser of the year. Our department relies heavily on a successful event to offset operational expenses throughout the fiscal year. Without the support from the community, entertainment sponsors, and the many fire departments that attend, this event wouldn't be successful. I'm very proud and thankful for the hard work that the members, past members, explorers, and their families put in to make this event possible. I'd also like to thank the Village Board, the DPW, and the East Rochester Police Department. Without the cooperation and continued support of these departments, these events would not be possible. With our busiest month behind us, remitted to the general fund $421.16. Total monies collected, $821. And this is certified by Karen Smith, Town Clerk, dated August 9th, 2019. And that's the way it was.
That's pretty.
Made it more dramatic than it really was, didn't it?
that's the way it is.
You don't have to wait tomorrow.
Deputy Mayor Florak.
Augustine.
Mayor, I have 2 reports this evening. First report is the East Rochester Community Resource Church and was nominated and received the scholarship money and certificate at a special ceremony after a weekend mass. Congratulations to Michaela Brigida, a well-deserved award. That is submitted by Teresa Quincy Willett. Second report I have is the Building Department monthly report for July. Total inspections were 30, fire inspections were 10, complaints and violations were 90, court appearances 3, permits issued 41, planning board actions were 6, no zoning board actions, dog responses were 10, other animal responses were 6, revenue total $3,580.66, and that is submitted by our building inspector, Jim Herkel. That's all I have, Mayor.
The library. But Baby Storytime met with 2 in attendance. Pre-K met with 2, met 2 times with 26 in attendance. The Mad Scientists of Rochester were also here, a special children's program, and that had 56 in attendance. So the library has continued to have some pretty busy programs this year. We do have 14 volunteers who are working in the library, and they logged a total of 22 hours for the month of July. There were 11 adults at the adult book session, which was the book A Piece of the World. And there'll be another one here in August, and those books are available at the circulation desk to pick up.
The Post newspaper provided information to many residents and others on their family history and various village history-related requests. Received contributions of village memorabilia from village residents. Welcome visitors entering through the library entrance at the rear of the library's second floor area. This has proven to be a valuable source for the library patrons to learn of our resources. Continue to work with a researcher from the Rochester Museum of Science and Industry on Kate Gleason and her residence just to the west of the village. He furnished some aerial photos of the golf course where St. John Fisher College is now. These items were especially valuable as we have no photos of that area. Met with a representative of the grant we received to go over our ways and conditions of preserving old village records. She flew in from Philadelphia for the day. 13 AUOs, 37 arrests, 4 parking tickets, 23 motor vehicle accidents, 1 drug arrest, and 1 DWI arrest. It's with a heavy heart that I announce the passing of James Forrest on August 5th, 2019. Mr. Forrest was a lifelong resident of East Rochester and was a crossing guard here for the last 12 years. Mr. Forrest was also an East Rochester police officer and then worked for Monroe County Sheriff's Jail Bureau and ended his career as an investigator for the District Attorney's Office. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family during this difficult time. Two children. The 2 children were so happy to see Nicole Ocasio. The police officers' patrol union presented Nicole with a Wegmans gift card as a way to say thank you. Great job. Presented by Steve Clancy, Chief of Police.
Thank you, Trustee Swagler. I'll be very brief because I just want to point out all the good things that have been happening on Magnolia. What the chief just mentioned in his report, citizens steps up and takes care of children in distress. Magnolia Street was also the scene of one of the more heartwarming East Rochester events. A young boy, 13-year-old